Did you watch that video of Ram Charan where he got confused with Bumrah being a footballer?
Virat Kohli
The fire.
and Jasprit Bumrah.
Jasprit Bumrah ji, I am your biggest fan. I love football and आप football को इतने आगे बढ़ रहे हो, but
You cannot go in a meeting and just say 5 Shashi Tharoor words and come out and people are going to be like, wow, look at her English. No, how
Yeah.
to form them together. Right? That's a very good question. I don't think anybody's ever asked me that on a platform, but I will. That log kahenge in India, right? It dictates everything we do in our life. It dictates how
Yeah.
we live our life. It dictates what we eat, how we dress.
Sorry to interrupt you. I'm gonna clip this part because I have this group batch in the evening, and there is this guy. I always tell him that fluency doesn't mean that you have to make 10 sentences. If you are struggling, if you are making a lot of grammatical mistakes, stick to the point, say a few things, then move ahead. Wait. Hi, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me over on your channel. And first, let me apologize for responding late. I had some family obligations going on, so I just sat yesterday and responded to all the emails. But yeah, thank you for taking the time out, so quickly my message and then doing it today itself. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, actually, I was not doing these conversational videos also, but one of my clients told me that Roshan, you should continue this. Like I have started to teach on my channel, but
Okay.
it's not getting good response, so I thought I should continue what I was doing earlier.
Okay, that's great. You're trying these new things. For me, YouTube is very new right now, because I have started to teach first, and on the side, I'm trying to do. So I am just like, I got invited to one by Shanta ma'am, and then by doing some and few things, I've come to realize how YouTube works. But kudos to people who do content creation. It is
Yeah.
so much. I have had sleepless nights just planning what to do. So I think kudos to putting yourself out there and taking the step.
Yes, absolutely. I also discovered you from her channel. I watched that video when it was uploaded, but I was not recording those videos. But I thought,
Okay.
I should approach you. Everywhere you go, you have to introduce yourself. So I know it can feel a little bit repetitive, but still, let's do for the sake of the audience.
No, of course. That's good. Hi, my name is Sonika Shetty, and I have very recently started my own English proficiency academy called Speakeasy Studio. And like I was talking to a person right now, I started teaching first and got invited by somebody on YouTube, Shanta ma'am, to talk about the English experience. And I think that is how I have started to come. And I think people may see my face on YouTube, but it is due to YouTubers like you all who have invited me. So thank you so much for giving me this platform. And my English Proficiency Academy, we do everything from learning, reading, writing, speaking, and it's open to all. There is no age bracket. I teach everybody from the age of 4 to the age of 60, 70 also. My main focus to start this was to help working professionals and homemakers, because I feel like they are the ones who sometimes need this the most, but they don't know where to go, whom to go to, and how to start this experience. But while I was doing that, a lot of parents approached me, so I started teaching kids as well, and that's been very fruitful. I in the past never taught kids. I generally taught older students, but it's been really fruitful teaching younger kids. You learn so much from them also. So it's been a very exciting journey so far.
Amazing. As you are here for the first time, let me also introduce myself. My name is Roshan, and I am from Bihar. Earlier, I was working in a school, but I also had my first ever conversation with Shanta ma'am, and that's how I got to
Okay.
explore this niche of conversational videos, and I started putting content out there, and people started approaching me. So once I got a few clients, I thought, you know what, I can do this full time. I told my parents that how about I continue this on YouTube and start teaching English on the internet. So everything was sorted out. I quit my day job, which was not paying me well, so I shifted here. And that's been my journey so far here on YouTube for almost 2 years.
Inspiring.
Yeah, I've been putting content out there.
How long, I'm sorry, I missed that. How long have you been putting out content?
For almost more than 2 years now.
Almost 2 years. Okay, very good.
Yeah. So we have a similar start, like in this niche of conversational videos, virtual podcast. So how did you meet Santa ma'am? Did she approach you, or do you guys know each other?
She approached me on because I was making videos on Instagram. Now, see, Instagram is a social media platform that I do understand a bit. I feel like it's easier. The audience is different because YouTube, I always thought was a very, very, very big arena, right? But Instagram seemed manageable to me. So I was making videos on that. and she I think DM'd me on Instagram and asked me, and this was so new to me. She was like, I would love to have you on my channel, but I wasn't entirely sure what am I supposed to do, like what is it going to be. But she sent me her YouTube channel, so I went through that and I was like, oh, so she has guests and other speakers and teachers over on her channel and they just converse. So it
Mm-hmm.
seemed casual, seemed relaxed, didn't
Yeah.
seem very hyper professional, like the full setup and everything. My biggest concern was that I don't have or didn't have the right setup, the
Mm-hmm.
mic, the camera, and everything. So I was like, sure, let's do it. And then we got to talking, and then I realized that, hey, this was easy. Like
Yeah.
it didn't feel stressful to me once I did it. And I
Mm.
think like you and I both have gotten our YouTube conversation start through Shanda ma'am. So I think we definitely have,
A sort of.
thanks to, to
Yeah.
her.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, after that, then I think somebody else saw, somebody else reached out. So it's been really nice. I've been really enjoying this, reaching out to new fellow teachers, fellow educators, and just
Yeah.
talking to them, hearing about their journeys, and also discussing mine. So I think it's been a nice give and take kind of relationship so far.
Exactly. And I think you should not worry about your setup and all. Like if you have a laptop, that's more than enough. Like for recording videos, and you just start, and slowly you can make a little bit of improvement with mic and all. But you just have to start. That's what I would suggest.
But also that in that, we all kind of just, always are very critical of what we do. And I
Yeah.
think when I saw the video that Shanta ma'am uploaded, I could
Mm-hmm.
only see the flaws that oh, my camera was not good, the lighting was not good, the mic wasn't good. So I
Mm-hmm.
sometimes totally get where you are. And today, after having done a few videos, I see that aspect. But that day, I was like, oh my God, I'm looking so unprofessional in front of you. So I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that initial hesitation, went away after doing a few. But like you said, slowly and steadily trying to work on things, seeing what I need, what I can make do with also. So I think this has been good practice for me also. So I
Yeah.
really am grateful to all YouTubers and to every educator who's reached out. And I'm so glad you reached out to me as well.
Thank you. I get it, what you are trying to say. We all wait for the perfect opportunity and also think that if my setup is not all right, especially on YouTube, this is one complaint I have heard from all creators that they always wait that maybe I should get a better camera. How about I get a nice lighting setup? Only then I should start. But I think whoever has been on YouTube, their videos start like randomly. You see, they are sitting in their room, they start recording, and slowly they make progress. So I think.
So when you texted, when I emailed you back, and I was
Hmm,
like, oh, I think I have some time. So let
hmm,
me now look at camera. So, I asked my husband that can we start looking at cameras and lighting? But
hmm.
then you texted and said that can we do it tomorrow? And I was like, you know what, like you said, let's not wait because there's
Yeah.
always going to be something that is not right. So I decided that the camera can wait, but let's, get on with this. So I'm
Hmm.
glad that I didn't wait and, took up the opportunity as soon as it came.
Yeah. I also watched the full video, full conversation on Santa Ma'am channel. I think you were talking about working in Canada. In
Yes.
you were right. So I wanted to talk about this work culture in India and different countries. Are you fine with that? Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Ask me anything that you'd like.
Yeah. So, when I was a teenager, I was in my high school, I wanted to do some part time job. And, the stigma comes from working in a hotel or in a small uh, place, maybe a mall. A lot of people start making fun of you, even your family members sometimes. Why do you want to work in a hotel or go to a mall? What's your opinion on it, this work culture, especially among teenagers in India?
Okay, that's a very good question. I don't think anybody's ever asked me that on a platform, but I will because this subject is very very close to my heart. When we moved to Canada, we did not, my husband and I, we didn't have jobs available for us.
Hmm.
We went to the PR channel, but we had no jobs, nothing. We
Yeah.
landed in that country with 4 suitcases and just a dream, a little money in the bank account. That's it.
Hmm.
So now we go find jobs, right? We were
Yeah.
applying. I was applying for teaching jobs. I was applying for jobs in law firms. He was applying for jobs in his industry. You don't hear back because their industry works very different when it comes to the job market.
Hmm.
And now, after sitting at home for 15, 20 days, you start to get worried, right? New
Yeah.
country. How am I going to pay my bills? The rent is starting here. Then everything else adds on with it. So my husband and I both had our first job at McDonald's. And I have absolutely no shame discussing it. Those 3 months that we worked over there was such a great experience for both of us. We went to the closest McDonald's, applied because they had a we are hiring thing. They were paying us the bare minimum, the most minimum wage. But
Yeah,
you need something to start off, right? And then
exactly.
sometimes we complain that nobody gives an opportunity, but sometimes you have to take up the opportunity that is available and make the best out of it. We went and applied for a job. They were like, okay, sure, you seem overqualified. Are you okay working here? And I was like, you know what? We need a job. We will take it. And
Yeah.
they just made us into a guest experience leader. It was like a title where you didn't have to work in the kitchen. We had to like roam around the seating area and talk to customers and kind of it's more customer service one-on-one basis. And my husband and I both worked the same McDonald's. I did the morning shift. He did the
Yeah.
afternoon to 9 shift. So we would not even meet each other for days at end because I had another job, he had another job. So I know that people in India look down upon it. And like you very rightly pointed, it's generally the people the closest to you. Because I feel like in India, we have this mental block about these things that what jobs are good and what jobs are not good. And
Exactly.
somehow the service industry jobs in India sadly have been looked down upon. Being a server,
Absolutely.
working in a shop, working in retail has always been like, oh, you work there. So I
Uh,
feel like that stigma was there with Indians over there as well. I met a lot of fellow Indians over a period of time who would always ask us that why do you work at McDonald's? You have money in the
yeah.
bank, right? You look for the next few months. You'll find a job. And our only response used to be, yeah, we'll find a job, but what's the harm in doing this?
Exactly. Exactly.
You have to learn something new. It's an experience. Trust me, we had to mop the floor, we had to clean the tables. You have to do everything in the beginning over there. But once while doing that, I got to know more people. And then somebody over there offered me a job at the bank just because they saw me at McDonald's working and talking.
How
So
cool.
I know that there is another way to it also. You could sit at home and keep applying for jobs, and
Yeah.
it may work for some people. But if you are somebody who wants to put yourself out there and challenge and do new things, it's a great experience to have. And I will always and always stand up for the fact that you have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations to know who you truly are.
Absolutely.
The first time you pick up a mop and you start cleaning a floor, right, of a McDonald's in a foreign, it puts life into such a perspective that nothing else can do that. All my life in India, in Mumbai, never did I have to experience that. But that experience has, I think, evolves your personality, changes how you view people. I'll never
Absolutely.
look at them, for example, as an employee and be like, oh, they do this job, because I have immense respect because I know how tough that job is.
Yeah.
My husband then went on to work in a bar. He worked as a bar back and then as a bartender. So he has in-depth knowledge of how a kitchen, how a restaurant, how a bar works on the back end of it. So now when we go to a restaurant and if there's a delay with the food coming, we will never ever get angry or raise our voice
Yeah.
because we know what's happening in the back. Right.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes it just makes you empathize better with people. So I feel
100%.
like India, we're not there yet. Our society is formed in such a way, but we should all be more empathetic towards people because you know what? Everybody is doing something for a reason, and that reason is their own. They may do it for money, they may be doing it for experience, they may be
Yeah.
doing it for life. So we have to respect that, and putting people down is definitely not the right thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah. I think in our country, whenever we think of getting a job as a student, like who talks about being in your 20s or you are unemployed, that's a different thing. But even when you are a teenager and you want to get some pocket money, you don't want to take it from your parents, if you tell them that, can I go work in a mall, you can't even imagine the reaction, regardless of where you come from,
Yeah.
every part of our country. But I think hopefully things are changing as we are becoming more, we are consuming a lot of things, especially when you go to bigger cities, you see a lot of people are buying a lot of things, right? So maybe that is another factor that people will start accepting these jobs also. But I think it's going to take a lot of time.
Yeah, I feel like you're right. The mental makeshift will take time to change, but as long as people like us are constantly evolving and we are not looking down upon this, more and
Yeah.
more people want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
We
Uh,
actually live in a society, right? We care about what people think about us. The minute the
yes, yes.
stigma goes out of these things, people wouldn't care. You work in an office as an intern or you work in a store as an intern. It should be deemed same. It
Yes.
shouldn't be like, oh, rather than the other. So I feel like that stigma has to go away, and it is upon us, people like us, to remove that stigma.
Absolutely. You know, when you were talking about that job, I remembered, like, I was just struggling a lot when I was a teenager. Like, I didn't want to bother my parents because they had their own issues. So I was having the same discussion with my friend, and he told me, if you will go, then just imagine how will people talk in your colony. This is a small colony, everyone knows each other, so they will start asking random questions. So I thought, you know what, maybe I should start doing something else. And that's when freelancing became kind of everywhere. Like, we got introduced to YouTube, social media. So I think
Absolutely.
this is one place teenagers can start, maybe freelancing, learning to edit videos and things like that.
Absolutely. It's great that you did that. And I think I also spoke about this in some previous video, that log kahenge in India, right? This, it dictates everything we do in our life. It dictates how
Yeah,
we live our life. It dictates what we eat, how we dress, what we do, how we think. It is
everything.
something that we are trying to get out of consciously, but it is just a tag that we have lived and been raised with. So, can't blame anybody. Like your friend was like, what do people say in the colony? It's the
Yeah, yeah,
same thing with every. Yeah.
everywhere.
So it
Yeah,
takes
sometime. Do you remember your first job? How was your experience, and how did you get it? Your first ever job?
first ever job like in India.
Anywhere. Means, how many places have you lived at?
No, no. I mean, I've lived in Mumbai all my life and I spent
Hmm.
5 years in Canada. I
Hmm.
haven't spent any time in India anywhere out of Mumbai.
Hmm.
My first job was, I used to be a dance instructor. I had trained in Bharatanatyam since a very young kid. So I did it for over 20 years.
Hmm.
And then when I reached college, I wanted to try something new. So I
Hmm.
got into the Latin standard ballroom dance field entirely. It was
Hmm.
very exciting, new to learn. And I already had a classical dance background, right? So somebody asked me if I would want to work while I was in college on the side. And I was like, sure. I was, if I'm not mistaken, 17 or something at that time. I was in first year of degree college. So
Hmm.
I started working on the side. So in the vacation, I used to manage the entire dance class, like the whole admin work, and teach in the evenings. Once college resumed, I stopped the admin work and started teaching dance. So I
Hmm.
think for me, I've always, from when I remember, I was either busy with activities, and when I became about 16, 17, I started working also. So it was a nice little mix. It didn't require, honestly, a lot of it required a different kind of knowledge base. I had to use my dance teaching skills at a very early age. So I
Hmm.
think, in a way, now I've never thought about it, but looking back at it, maybe I did start enjoying teaching because of that. Because at a
Yeah.
very early age,
Hmm.
I wasn't teaching English, but teaching dance. But it still requires you to, break down these concepts and teach people who are here to learn. So I think,
Yeah.
yeah, that was my first. I did that for like 2, 3 years. And by the
Hmm.
time I'd finished college, I had started law college. When I started law
Nice.
college, I became a law intern. And then I think life then just got busy.
Hmm. I think getting jobs in cities like Mumbai is quite easy, right? You can get a job quite easily. At
Yeah,
least part-time jobs, I think.
I think so. Yeah. I mean,
Hmm.
I cannot speak for today's time, because
Hmm.
when I'm talking about this was easily 20 years ago. And 20 years ago, it wasn't that hard to
Hmm.
find a job. Of course, what you were looking at, if you were looking at a more technical aspect of a job, maybe
Hmm.
engineers and kids or students who were into a more concentrated technical field could have difficulty. But for somebody with arts and everything, there was always something to find, right? So
Right.
yeah, I think a
Mhm.
big city makes a difference. Many people over here, many people hiring over here. Yes, there's more lot of competition, but there's also a lot of availability of things over here. So I think it's a big city thing.
Yeah, yeah. This is, at the end of the day, this is a language learning podcast. So at the end of the session or during our session, I always ask about media consumption. That how important do you think is media consumption is when it comes to learning any language in the world, like be it reading, watching films, or just surrounding yourself with this language.
In my personal opinion, that
Hmm.
of course you should consume content out there. We are consuming YouTube content.
Hmm.
Same where there are shows, movies, everything in various channels, right? On various languages also.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't we make use of that? We are paying for the subscriptions as it is. We are paying for Netflix, Amazon
Hmm.
Prime, right? I'm trying to get better at Kannada, which is my native language, but I
Hmm.
also speak Tulu. So I didn't fully develop a command over Kannada as a language. But
Hmm.
as an adult today, I have free time, I just put a Kannada show or channel, a movie, and I just try to watch it. Because if language learning can happen at any age, so I preach the same thing to students also and learners is that if you have the time and if you can find the resources and time, of course, please watch content. It is easier.
Yeah.
Sometimes reading a book is not as easy, the content is dry, you're feeling tired, lazy. Sometimes you open a book and you just fall asleep right there. That happens to all of us. But
Yeah.
with content, you automatically get connected to it if it is an interesting subject matter. So make use of that. When it comes to reading also, today we have ebooks, today we have audiobooks. Of course, I'm not saying that stop reading and do this, but again, if you're traveling, you're driving for long distance, if you are driving for 2 hours, you can't read a book,
No.
you can't use your phone, but put
Hmm.
a podcast on, just listen to the podcast, put an audio ebook on and just hear the audiobook. So if you want to learn, you can make use of every free time you have without it encroaching on your personal space and personal time. You can
Yeah.
still do it. I always tell people,
Absolutely.
when you come back, yeah, when you come back from work or from outside
Hmm.
and you don't really have the time to focus on a show right now, just put anything on. Put like a funny American TV show or a British TV show, which has like a
Yeah.
22 minute runtime, and let it play in the background with the volume slightly higher. So
Huh.
you're just doing your chores, you're washing utensils, you're trying to cook. Some word is going, you hear intonations, you go like, what was that word? What was he saying again and again? So this
Yes.
is how your memory or your catching these fragmented things here and there and piecing it together. So I think we can all make use of these resources. So there is no reason to look down upon this. But of course, some people feel like traditional means of education is only the right mean of education. That
Hmm.
means read a book, take a book and write. And yes, but we have to be out in the real world. And in real world, Roshan, people speak differently than they speak in books,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
right? I'm reading a book right now written by Aristotle. It was written in BCE, right? And it has been translated. If
Hmm.
I start speaking like thou, that is not going to cut it. That is why it is important to go
Yeah.
ahead and go with the time. And for doing that, being in touch with recent cinema and with recent popular culture content is very important. It also gives you subject matter to talk on.
100%. 100%. I don't know. Before this conversation, maybe I was just scrolling reels, and there was this guy who was talking about that more than sentence structures, you need to have knowledge. Like a lot of time, what happens that beginners have covered their grammar, they know tenses, they know everything related to basics, but still they are stuck. They are not able to describe things. So I guess majority of the time they don't have any input here. They don't have any idea about the subject matter. So how do you think they're going to hold a conversation? They will struggle.
You've absolutely hit the nail on the head. And I spoke about this on Shanta ma'am's video and other videos also,
Hmm.
that you need to know your subject matter.
Yeah.
You said you can do grammar, tenses, you can do everything. You can learn vocabulary also. You learn 10 words, memorize it.
Hmm.
But when you speak, there has to be some content that goes with it, right? I cannot go
Absolutely.
in a meeting and just say five Shashi Tharoor words and come out and people are going to be like, wow, look at her English. No, I
Yeah.
did form them together, right? I did
Hmm.
make it comprehensible for somebody else to understand. And that is why subject matter is key. I'm not good at sports. That's not something that is a subject of interest to me,
Yeah.
right? So when
Hmm.
I talk about sports, I don't talk about sports. You know what I do?
Yes.
I just shut up and listen people talking because
Yes.
I don't know. I
Hmm.
can, of course, say things like splendid, Dhoni, and fantabulous, and just use all these big words. But
Yeah.
then I have nothing else to add on to it. I have no stats, I have no theory or something like that. So I think it's very important to know your audience. And
Yes.
if you don't know a topic, it is absolutely okay to take a step back and be a listener in a situation. But if you're
100%.
confident in subject matter, take the mic, take the lead, right?
Just
And
go
then
there.
use the vocabulary and people will listen because
Yes.
subject matter is going to be king. Even if you make 10 grammatical sentences, but if you tell me something I didn't know, I'm going to be like, oh my God, he said something that day. It was a very good thing. Then, I will research on it as an audience.
Yeah.
This, for that, subject matter is king.
Hmm. You talked about being confident. Did you watch that video of Ram Charan where he got confused with Bumrah being a footballer?
No,
Have you
I
seen?
really haven't.
Do you know Ram Charan, that famous film star?
Ramchan Teja, right? The
Uh,
Telugu actor.
Not Ram Charan. See, now I'm confused with the name. So, that guy from RRR. What's his
Yeah.
name?
Ram Charan Teja. His name is Ram Charan Teja.
Ramcharan.
Yeah.
So somebody, he was promoting his new film and somebody asked about Bumrah and he said, wow, great footballer. And he was so confident. And later on he tweeted that, I'm sorry, I got confused. So I think you have to look confident, but at least if you don't know anything, just say no and move ahead, pass the question, right?
Sometimes your brain tricks you. Your brain tells you, oh my God, this is exactly that. So sometimes
Yeah.
that confidence also comes from a very honest place where you're
Hmm.
like, oh, this is not the word. I was so sure it was this. But yes, sometimes I think speak less, but speak correct, than speaking a lot and making a lot of mistakes becomes a subject matter.
Yeah,
I'll give
I'm
you
gonna
a quick
clip this
example.
part.
Yeah, but tell me.
Sorry to interrupt you. I'm gonna clip this part because I have this group batch in the evening, and there is this guy. I always tell him that fluency doesn't mean that you have to make 10 sentences. If you are struggling, if you are making a lot of grammatical mistakes, stick to the point, say a few things, then move ahead. Wait, but he doesn't listen to me. I always tell him the same thing. For the past 2 weeks, in almost every session, I tell him that Premji, you don't have to make too many sentences. If you are struggling with,
Yeah,
yeah, please go ahead.
I think some students do struggle with that.
Hmm.
They feel like, what is the word for it? Uh, ज़्यादा करना है, ज़्यादा बोलना है. Like, let's get content out. I'll keep
Yes.
talking.
Hmm.
Always tell people, as a good conversationalist, the most important thing here, Roshan, is not what to say. It's what not to say.
Yeah.
That is an important thing in meetings, in critical situations. So in
Hmm.
Shantana's video, also spoke about, as a lawyer, she was like, how was that experience talking in front of judges and fellow lawyers, right?
Yeah.
In that, subject matter is key. You cannot stand in front of a learned judge and senior advocates and just talk in good English, but don't not give any legal subject matter, right? So that is
Hmm.
where this matters a lot. Secondly, it's very important to know that it's okay to say this, but I think it's not okay to say that, because that distinction you have to make while talking in real time. So
Yeah.
you realize that our brain is multitasking at a super great speed while talking. Just trying to see verbal body language. I don't think he's interested. I think he's interested. I don't think I should say this. Like you just said right now,
Hmm.
you spoke about actor or something. If I come to know, for example, somebody likes a certain actor a lot, then
Hmm.
I'll just be like, what, let's take, like, let's not say this joke. What if they feel bad?
Yeah.
Your brain is going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth on this. So it's
Hmm.
very important of how much to speak in front of whom. Firstly, know your audience, know your subject matter, and also tailor make it. Leave a little suspense, leave a little,
Yeah.
let people guess, right? About your personality
Absolutely.
also.
Hmm.
Somewhere to a party, you don't have to show them 100% of who you are, right? Let there be some intrigue, right? This is what leads to personality development and everything. When you walk into a room, people should want to know more about you.
Yeah.
And all of this
Absolutely.
is from conversation skills, and these are not pertaining to grammar. It is how you
Hmm.
conduct yourself, it's how you speak, it's how when you not speak, how gracious you are to other people. And these kind of small micro non-verbal skills also lead to being a great conversationalist.
Yeah. I mean, you have to put in the repetition. Like, just build the muscle memory, and you will know when to not say what other people are not interested in, or when you should completely
Absolutely.
avoid it. Sonika, you
Absolutely.
mentioned this thing about listening to audiobooks or
Yes.
e-readers are available there. So I used to be, what's the word? Not perfectionist, purist. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Like somebody
Yeah,
who
sure.
believes in traditional that you have to read a book. I thought that,
Correct.
if you are listening to an audiobook, you are not putting that much effort. Like a couple of years ago, I used to only read books. But when I started working out, especially I started running regularly. So those
Uh-huh.
audiobooks helped me to run longer. Like I run on average 20 to 25 minutes, but if I'm listening to a nice book, I feel like I should go for that extra lap. It is not like motivating me, but the story is so interesting that I don't want to stop, because if
Absolutely.
I stop, I will have to pause it. I will have to ride my bike and get home. So have you ever changed your mind with media? Like not just for the sake of learning something, but in forms of entertainment or anything that you have experienced?
What you're saying, I was in the same boat. I had a friend years ago when I was in college. She
Hmm.
was a big advent of ebooks. So
Yeah.
she would like listen to ebooks before going to sleep, and
Hmm.
she had read like a full series or something. And I would kind of low-key judge her. Okay. I was like, oh my God, like listening to ebooks. And I'd always like not argue, but tell her that think of the effort the author has put into writing this book,
Yeah.
and shouldn't be it and this and that. But again, she was older than me. I think she knew better because now, like you said, as I am getting older, I see the value in these things because I no more live with my parents where I have no work at home and I'm just sitting in my free time flipping pages. As an adult, you have to go to job, you have to run your household, you have to pay bills. So between all of this stuff, you have to change with the times. And I think that that is a very important thing when it comes to language also changing language with time, changing language, same way you change also how you absorb this language. Instead of not taking time to read and not reading at all, you might as well listen to ebooks and at least get 5 ebooks in your brain
Yeah.
instead of not reading even a book, right? So if I had to
Yes.
compare, I've changed my mind about accepting technology in my life at a much later stage, but now that I have, I am so glad I did. And I have like stood corrected so many times where when you're young, right, you have all of these notions about life,
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I'm never going to do this, I'm never going to do that. And then you get slightly older, you see more of the world and you feel like it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we are all here to be better today than we were yesterday. How to get better
Absolutely.
today be different for different people. You like to listen to ebooks while running. I like to listen to ebooks or podcasts while driving because you know Mumbai traffic. Like since I've come back, even a 10-kilometer journey takes me at least an hour.
Hmm. So yeah,
Right.
you,
So I
you
feel like instead of listening to music, yeah, I've downloaded some podcast or whatever I play it. And it's sometimes good, it keeps you entertained. You feel like you're part of somebody's conversation also. And it takes away the dreariness of seeing all the cars stuck around you.
yeah, I mean, you can do it sometimes, but I feel like listening to a audiobook or maybe a podcast is fun sometimes. Like, I get what you are trying to say, like being observant, observing everything who is passing. Did you mention that, the last part?
Which one? I'm sorry, can you repeat?
I mean, sometimes when you are consuming too much media, you forget to stay in your real world. Like,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, there can be overconsumption also. And I think we're all guilty of that. We're all guilty of, in the night at 2 o'clock, doom scrolling on Instagram or
Yeah.
trying things to start to shop. So I think we're all guilty of that. But now, sadly, those are the times we live in. We're all
Uh,
cognizant of what we're doing, but also we're also humans, right? We're allowed to make mistakes.
Exactly. You know what I wanted to say? Sometimes a lot of people consume wherever they are going. For example, they are listening to music, they are not observing everything. I'm one of those persons, but I feel like I feel like you can be a little mindful sometimes that where you can avoid listening to that audiobook. So maintain the balance, I guess.
Because what happens is that with listening, sometimes, especially you have like those over the ear headphones, you
Hmm.
get so lost in the noise cancellation world of the media you're consuming. It is
Yeah,
very
yeah.
easy to disconnect. I personally am not much of a like a close listener because
Hmm.
it kind of like bothers me at a certain time. But I do see people at airports and all also, right? The announcements happened, their flight is boarding, they have no idea because they're engrossed in some music. So yes, it
Hmm.
is very, very important to be mindful of where you are. Is my attention required right now? But if you really
Absolutely.
want to, take 2 hours, sit over there, not a care in the world, and listening. But yeah,
Yeah.
right time, right place for everything.
Hmm. You know, you speak effortlessly. Whatever we discussed, there was a great flow. So, for our audience, for anybody who is, because these two words are, I think, the most searched words in our niche, English learning, articulation and becoming fluent. Everybody wants to achieve these two things, right? So, if you had to summarize our whole session, or if somebody wants to become articulate and fluent, what would you recommend them?
Become a good listener. I say this in all videos, and I will continue to say this till the end of time, is that if you are not a good listener, it is very hard to be a good speaker because it works twofolds. Firstly, if you listen, you know exactly what to respond. Because if you're asking me a question and you're asking me ABC, I'm telling you LMNOP. So
Yeah.
I have already lost focus. Firstly, that. Secondly, if I don't know something, like I said, I don't know sports. And if you and somebody else are talking about sports, if I just quietly sit and listen, they say speech is silver, silence is golden. Sometimes silence is the best teacher. Stay quiet, listen to what people are saying, and grasp these things, and then use it with another audience. When I
Yeah.
started speaking English at a later age in my life, and I entered college, and I made friends who didn't speak a word of Hindi because their native tongue was English. So I was forced to speak to them in English. And I also said a few words and they've not mocked me, but they were like, Sonika, it's not like this. And did I feel bad? Yeah, maybe as a young person, you go like, oh my God, I think I said it wrong. But fine, take it into your stride. And today, whenever I say it the right way today, those words, I think about them. I think about the fact that I'm glad somebody corrected me. So that is why listening is very important. Listen to people speak, you learn from them. Plus, you also know what to answer. Because if you don't do these two things, you're not going to find an audience. And you'll be surprised why people don't want to talk to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sonika, for your time. I didn't realize how quickly this passed. It's already 39 minutes and the session is going to end in
Oh,
1 minute.
I didn't realize. Okay. I
Yeah,
did not. Thank you so much. This was such an interactive session. And once again, apologies for responding late and
it's
thank you
all
for
right.
taking out the time.
It's all right. Thank you so much and hopefully we'll meet soon. Bye.
Yes, likewise. Take care. All the best.
Thank you.